Hello YouTube. So I had a bit of spare time and I thought I would make another video. And this is about something which I collected from my local auction house earlier this week. And it is this item here. And I'm going to tell you all about it. So this is leather. And inside here we have an antique telescope. Getting the leather cover is really unusual. These leather cases usually did not survive for fairly obvious reasons. I mean, they're pretty fragile, so it's nice to have that. Anyway, here's the telescope. It comes with the original lens cap, and it is in beautiful antique condition. I'm going to give you a little tour of it and tell you a bit about it. So this is a 7-drawer telescope, meaning that it has 7 drawer tubes. So you pull it out. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's made of brass. It's from the early 1800s, and it's got a rather unusual barrel covering. The main body of the telescope, that's the barrel. Usually on telescopes of this age, they are covered in wood, or they are brass, or they are covered in leather. This one is not any of those. The barrel of this telescope is covered, as you can see, in this black, glossy, kind of ribbed material. And it's not leather, it's not wood. This is actually baleen, as in baleen whales. Yep, this is, or what they used to call whalebone. So basically, they would heat it, they would get it nice and soft, they would wrap it around the barrel like this and set it in place. And I mean, this thing is the better part of 200 years old. So for 150, 160, 170 years, it's remained intact, which is pretty incredible. So baleen is it's the filtration system. It's little blades of tissue in the whale's mouth that strains the water when they feed to get all the krill and all the plankton and all that kind of stuff that they like to eat. And baleen is actually largely comprised of keratin. If you don't know what keratin is this stuff. It's your fingernails. Fingernails are made of keratin. So this is basically covered in 150, 170-year-old fingernails, which is kind of cool. I love this telescope just because it is in incredibly good condition. Telescopes in the 1700s, 1800s were very, very, very expensive, and owning one was a mark of status in the 1700s, 1800s, when all travel was done by ship, done by sailing ship, done by steamship. If you were an officer or a captain, then you were expected to own a telescope. But because they were so expensive, you couldn't always just go out and buy one. And in fact, they were so expensive that one of the ways that people used to get telescopes would be as rewards or prizes. So, you know, if a sea captain had, for example, rescued a sinking ship, or had saved people at sea, they might scrimp together the money and pay for a telescope. as a mark of appreciation, as a reward. You know, if someone in a yacht race had won the race, they might reward them with a telescope, just because they were so expensive. They were, I mean, this is, like I said, 150, 170 years old, and it's in, apart from the aging to the brass, it's in perfect condition. There is nothing wrong with it at all. None of the lenses are broken. None of the tubes are dented or bent or anything like that. So, you know, to make something like this to such a high quality and high standard would have been very expensive. And this particular telescope is made by one of the most famous manufacturers of telescopes in the UK. I'm going to pull out, this is the first draw tube, and here we have, it says J. Hughes, London, and then here it says, to adjust by sliding in the second draw. Second draw is this one here. This is the second draw, this is the first draw, second draw, all the way up to the barrel. So, who is J. Hughes, London? J. Hughes is Joseph Hughes. He was a inventor and optician who made telescopes. And J. Hughes had two sons, and they were Henry Hughes and Joseph Hughes Jr. And when Joseph Sr. died, his two sons took over the business, and it became H. Hughes & Co. And then when Henry Hughes got married, he had a son. His son's name was Alexander. And Alexander entered the family business along with his father and his uncle. And it became H. Hughes & Son. And H. Hughes & Son was one of the most famous manufacturers of telescopes in the United Kingdom throughout the 1800s and well into the 1900s. They didn't stop making telescopes until, I think, World War II, so about 1940, 1950, somewhere around there they stopped making. The company basically went bust, but up until that time, they loved making telescopes, and they made some of the best. In fact, this is the second Hughes telescope in my collection. And that's because I also have this one. So, just going to bring it up. And here it is. You may remember this from another video which I did. This is my office's bridge telescope. And here it says H. Hughes & Son, London. So this is from about 1900, 1920, around the time of the First World War. So this is about 60 or 70 years younger than this one. But it's still made by the same company, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this is the first Baleen telescope that I have ever owned. I know that Baleen was used to sheath telescopes, but I've never held one until now, so this is pretty cool. And it's in such great condition, and it's a 7-draw telescope too, which is pretty cool. You don't usually see telescopes with so many draw tubes. It's usually a feature of older telescopes, and it's just really neat to see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more of the stuff which I collect, which I've restored, then check out my other videos, or you can go to my blog. I have a link in the description below, and that will contain all the articles about the stuff that I collect, the stuff that I restore, general history stuff in general that I like writing about. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, then leave them downstairs in the comments section, and I will respond to them as soon as I can. Thank you very much for watching.